8 juicy best of Redditor update stories for you guys today. Starting it off, what? With my ex turned up last night drunk. Tomorrow is his wedding day. Should I tell his soon-to-be wife? As always, guys, this is Best of Redditor updates, so we got hella updates in all of these stories. But stick around for 7 more absolutely insane updated Reddit stories, such as my husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone and refuses to explain why. This is also a recent one too, so we're getting that recent drama. And finally, the story that we're going to be ending this video on. My husband got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me about it. If that doesn't scream shitty, man, I don't know what does. Y'all already know the drill, chat. Let's lock in here. My ex turned up last night drunk. Tomorrow is his wedding day. Should I tell his soon-to-be wife? Originally posted to r/relationship advice, August 25th, 2021. I was with my ex for 2 years. It was not the best relationship, and we broke up because I moved for uni and just didn't want to be with him anymore. It has been almost 5 years since we broke up, and I am engaged to be married with my fiance, who is absolutely my soulmate. Yesterday evening at around 22 o'clock, he rang our doorbell drunk. His bachelor party was in the city I live in, and he came to see me. When my fiance opened the door, my ex just started sobbing, saying he couldn't believe he, my fiance, was real, or some BS like that. We took him into the apartment because he didn't look dangerous, and he just vocally vomited before he actually vomited in our bathroom. What I could gather is that he was still very hurt because of our breakup, that he thinks we could have made it work, and he regrets treating me badly. He then threw up again and called an Uber to his hotel. It was very surreal. He was fine. We fed him waffles and coffee to sober up and told him to write us when he was at his hotel to make sure he didn't die or something. I was left with a weird feeling, almost dirty. I am thinking about contacting his soon-to-be wife, or should I call him to encourage him to tell that to his fiance? Or should I not do anything and let this just be an anecdote for my future? Bro, why are you getting married if this is how you feel about your ex? Like, what the fuck is we doing? It's like not her circus, not her monkeys, but I think the right thing to do is to reach out to her and be like, hey, bro, you might want to know this about your husband before you get married to him. Because like, I sure as shit would not want to get married to somebody who the night before their wedding is showing up drunk to their ex's house to like basically confess his love to them. Like, no, just no. I think if I was the soon-to-be wife, I would want to know. And I also think if I was OP, it would very heavily weigh on my shoulders knowing that I could have done something but didn't for that person. It's just so easy to send a hey girly message. I would have called when he was at my house. That's so nuclear, Mima. Hey, can you give me your phone? I just gotta make a call real quick. She needs to be a girl's girl. Okay, so pretty much everybody in chat is saying she should reach out to the wife and tell her. I just think that's the right thing to do, bro. Like, if you ever sleep with someone or like someone tries to pull some shit on you and you find out they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like, I genuinely think you should do something about it. Because like, let's be honest, that person probably won't learn unless they have consequences to their actions anyways. Like, this dude's not loyal. He's not gonna be loyal to this wife. How do we know he didn't plan the bachelor party so he could go talk to OP because he's been having regrets or doubts? I genuinely do believe it's not a coincidence that his bachelor party was where OP was. He probably had that entire thing planned out, bro. Relevant comments. So someone asked, put yourself in his wife's shoes. Would you want to sign your life away to this person? OOP, I guess I would want to know, but I also would prefer my partner tell me that. Another comment responded, but would he tell her? By telling her yourself, you risk not being believed or coming across as petty, but at least you know someone tried to warn her. I would not put it on this guy's shoulders to tell his fiance. If he's willing to like get married to this woman, even though he's clearly still not over his ex like that, and is willing to show up drunk the night before his wedding, like there's no way this guy's gonna take the high road. Edit, thanks for all the feedback. It seems like Reddit is as split on this as I am. Just because this kept coming up. My main goal with telling her is not for them to break up. I don't want that, and that's not why I would want to tell her. The reason for me telling her is solely that I would want to know if I was her. Nothing else. It's not about me bragging about him not being over me. It's not something I care about and wonder how some of you twisted it into that. Also, a tiny update. I decided that contacting the bride was the wrong move because we are not friends. However, I sent his sister, an old friend of mine, a message basically saying to talk to her brother because he appeared at my door drunk and distressed and to make sure he was okay. She thanked me for the message and apologized profusely because my ex has been apparently acting a fool for a few weeks now leading up to his wedding. She asked me if I was okay and if her brother had gone back to the hotel room because they couldn't find him. I told her he had Ubered home and had written us that he had arrived at his room at around 11:30 p.m. She thanked me again, and I haven't heard from her since. Yo, where did fucking homeboy go? Bro, he's totally gonna show up again. Another update, his sister called me again to ask me if he had come by or said anything about his whereabouts. Apparently he didn't show for the wedding, and no one knows where he is. So me telling the fiance is now obsolete. Okay, I really hope this doesn't have like a super dark ending, but also like, what is homeboy fucking doing, bro? I'm glad she contacted somebody, but I low-key think it was the wrong move to contact the sister. Because at the end of the day, this doesn't affect the sister, this affects the wife. And the sister could potentially enable his behavior versus if the wife knew the cat's out of the bag completely. I would have probably reached out. Friend or not, bro. OP needs security cameras. Like, I hope this doesn't end dark, but I could also see it ending in him showing up to this house again. Dude, you could have just reached out to her, confessed your love, and gotten shot down. You didn't need to plan a whole fucking wedding around it. Sounds like he only dated his fiance to try to get OP jealous and pull her back in some way. I also just think dudes in general do that I'm too tough, I'm over her, like I don't care, without actually like processing their feelings and working on moving through them. And because of that, there's like a fuck ton of unresolved feelings that he has that he's just never addressed. Like, this guy sounds stupid. Like, I don't think he's smart enough to come up with a plan like that. I think he's just like totally over her. Oh, but like, I'm gonna plan this thing and like maybe get drunk and go talk to my ex. Like, I don't know. Update September 5th, 2021, 10 days later. Long story short, he bailed. He decided he did not want to commit to his fiance, bailed, and days later called to break off the engagement. A bit more details. After his sister and I talked, my ex's fiance reached out and was kind of mad. The best man had told her he went to see me. At first, she was convinced we had sex, so that took a bit of talking. I felt sorry. She was very distraught. She apologized, I apologized, and I told her I wished her the best. Saturday, I received a call from the sister. Apparently, X reappeared. He went all the way to France. Did OP say where they're from? Like, are we talking like America to France? Or are we talking like UK to France? Because like, it's still ridiculous to country hop to run away from your wedding. His sister called me to apologize because my ex had stolen one of my lipsticks. I honestly had not noticed, but my ex admitted it to her. She PayPal'd me the money to buy myself a new one. I said I was not mad and asked her how she was and how his ex-fiance was. On their end, everything is a mess. Everyone is mad at him. I don't know many more details and was kind of not willing to ask. But yeah, that's it. What a fucking mess, bro. What a fucking mess. Lipstick is a weird thing to steal. Like, I know he was drunk, but like, I need a memento for the most down bad moment of my life. I'm gonna steal my ex's lipstick. The thought process there must have been fucking crazy. Someone was commenting about the lipstick and OOP responded, our guess is that he just grabbed the first thing he knew was mine. That was small enough to fit in his pocket. Yeah, maybe in his drunk state, he thought it would be another reason for him to go see her. Like, oh, I accidentally grabbed your lipstick, let me return it. I mean, doesn't sound like this man is the most logical of men out there. Damn, I pray this love never finds me, bro. If you're still into your ex, please leave me alone. Please, 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 please. If you're still into your ex, leave everybody alone. Go to therapy. Figure out how to heal before you hop on the next train. My husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone and refuses to explain why. Originally posted to r/trueoffmychest, February 4th, 2025. My husband is 43 and I'm 31. I've been married for 7 years and have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. My husband left our children alone and he refuses to admit it or tell me where he was. I'm furious, enraged, and my husband keeps telling me I'm making a big deal about nothing. This just happened this weekend. I am on a board of directors for a local nonprofit organization. I had to attend an event for that organization this past Saturday, and I was gone for most of the day. My husband was supposed to be home with our kids. I texted him a few times and he responded. When I called around midday, he didn't respond. But that's not very unusual. Shortly after that, I got a call from my mom. She said my son had just called her, and when she asked him what he and his sister were doing, he said they were both watching TV. When she asked where their dad was, he said his dad wasn't there. My mom asked him several other questions, and from my son's responses, she believed he was telling the truth and that my husband wasn't there, and that there was no adult there at all. She said he didn't seem scared to be alone or worries about where his dad was at. He just called her to chat. He has a tablet designed for children with pre-programmed contacts that he can call. It's only a few people, just family members. I left the event immediately and began texting and calling my husband repeatedly. He didn't respond to my first several attempts. It took him about 10 minutes. I was halfway home at that point to respond. I was so confused, so worried, really mad, and I asked him where he was. He said he was at home. I told him our son had just told his grandmother that he was home alone with his baby sister watching TV about 15 minutes ago. My husband denied it, and I told him I was too upset to talk and drive. When I got home, I checked on the kids right away and they were both fine. I asked my husband again, where was he? He said he was home the entire time. He doesn't know what our son was talking about, but he must have just been confused since he had gone to the basement to do some laundry. I ran down to the basement. It was the same load of laundry I'd thrown in the dryer the night before. He didn't do any laundry when I was gone. I asked my husband why my son would be confused about whether his dad was home or not. Where in our home would he have gone, and for how long for our son to think his dad wasn't home? That doesn't make sense with a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You wouldn't leave them unattended that long. Why was he nowhere to be found when my mom asked my son to go check certain areas of the house? I begged my husband to just admit it, to stop treating me like an idiot, and to stop accusing our son of lying. Just tell me the truth, because being lied to right to my face is incredibly maddening. He insists he was home, but he can't come up with any believable story of where he was at or what he was doing during that time. The way he answers me when I ask him about this and demand truthful answers is so dismissive. When I tell him, "You left our children alone," he quickly says, "No, I didn't. So anyway, ... He says I'm overreacting and letting our son's imagination drive me crazy. Gaslighting, leaving the children unattended, probably cheating. Let's be so fucking real, he's probably cheating with a neighbor or something. This is sketchy. We need some divorce papers in chat. I'm all for it. I've read enough. I am convinced he was gone. We don't have a Ring camera, but at least one of our neighbors does. I'm so upset about this and that I'm tempted to ask our neighbor for the Ring footage. I had to go out to my car and scream and cry because I got so upset. Of course, I didn't want my kids to see my reaction. I can't put into words how upset I am about the fact that I know he must have really left them alone, but have no proof and am being treated like I'm just a paranoid nutcase of a mother/woman by him. Grab your kids and take them to your mom's. This guy is not only cheating on you, but he is putting your children's life in danger. A 9-month-old and a 5-year-old should not be left unattended. That is extremely dangerous. Even if there's a reason for him to have been gone like that, grab the kids and run, girl. Like, don't get me wrong, you should definitely be asking for the evidence, but like, you don't need evidence to know like this man is fucking up, he's gaslighting you, and he's probably cheating on you. In my opinion, he has given you enough here to trust your gut and get the fuck out of there. That's either someone who's cheating or someone who's fucking with drugs. He's doing some sketchy shit. Although I feel like if he was doing drugs, I feel like she would realize he was on drugs, you know? Like if she interrupted his drug session. I just feel like he has to be cheating, dude. Ooh, make a police report and get out. Mima, I agree with that actually. You need some documentation here if you're gonna go through with the divorce to try to push for full custody, and I think a police report would be good. Some evidence and some witnesses of like, daddy was gone, you know? You guys know me, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I do not think the husband deserves any benefit of the doubt here. There's too much sketchy shit happening. We've seen the gaslighting, there's testimony that he's not at home taking care of his kids like he should be, and that's just child endangerment. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, it's either drugs or an affair. Also, the fact that your 5-year-old was calm and nonchalant about the situation makes me believe that he does this frequently enough that the kids are used to it. OOP, my mom said she and my son chatted for at least 5 minutes before she asked him where his dad was. And when she asked that, she still didn't think anything was wrong. She was just trying to make conversation. He gave no indication that anything was wrong, and when she started asking him more questions regarding his dad's whereabouts, he didn't seem fazed. Commenter 2, I agree that it's either drugs or an affair if he's truly leaving them alone. To ease your mind, get the footage from your neighbor, but do not tell him. Furthermore, given your son's nonchalance about being left alone, this might not be the first time your husband has done this. Ask your son, aside from the fact that this is highly dangerous, there are legal ramifications that the both of you can face should the authorities be alerted that the children are being left home alone. You should also get nanny cams. These are discrete cameras unlike a Ring camera. Place them in strategic locations throughout your home. OOP, he definitely won't be left alone with them anymore unless it's a test where I am secretly watching the entire time. Commenter asked, does OOP's husband have any accounts that she wasn't aware of, such as a bank account, etc.? OOP, he has a separate bank account that I don't have access to. It's not a secret account. I know it exists. I don't have a debit card for it. I'm not named on the account, and I don't have his login details. I have no clue what's in it. We have a joint account too. He has his own credit cards. I don't know what's on those either. Commenter 3, I feel like the timeline is weird. How did your husband get home in the 10 minutes since he answered your phone call and you got there? Bro, I'm calling it. He's cheating with a neighbor. Final answer, that's what I'm going with. Doesn't mean I think he's telling you the truth, and I think you should get the Ring camera footage to put either claim to rest. Is your husband friends with any neighbors? OOP, he had to be within 10 minutes from our house. He speeds on a good day, so if he was in his car and within 20 minutes of our house, he technically could have gotten home in time. I'm wondering if he actually got my initial panic calls and texts, didn't answer, started racing home, and then finally picked up once he was home so he could pretend he was there all along. Additional information from OOP on her conversation with her 5-year-old son regarding her husband/his father. OOP, I talked to my son after I calmed down a little bit. His story was virtually the same as what he'd told my mom, with a few more details, but nothing that gave me any clue about what my husband was up to. I asked him what he did when I was gone. He said daddy made him pancakes and they drank coffee outside. My 5-year-old doesn't actually drink the coffee, but he pretends to drink it in the morning, and he likes to sit outside with his hot coffee. His sister had a giant poop explosion, and of course he remembered that, and apparently dad was there to clean that up because he said she pooped everywhere, and he had to help dad give her a bath, and it was disgusting. Curious that my husband supposedly did laundry, but left the poop-covered onesie unwashed. That was the highlight of his day, and he loved telling me about how gross it was. Some 5-year-old shit right there. I asked him if daddy left. He said, yeah, daddy left. Like, it was no big deal. I asked him what he did when daddy was gone. He said he watched TV. I asked him what he watched. I asked him what his sister, 9-month-old baby, was doing when daddy was gone. And he said she was in the living room watching TV with him too. I asked him if he was sure daddy was gone. He said, yeah, daddy wasn't home. I asked him how he knew, and he said daddy's keys were gone. And daddy told him to stay in the living room with his sister. He has no real concept of time, so asking him how long daddy was gone for wouldn't really mean anything. I didn't want him to feel like he was in trouble or like I was grilling him, and it sort of seemed like that's how he started to feel when I kept asking questions. I just don't see a situation where this is innocent. I don't see a situation where he's like innocently trying to hide something, and even if he was, that's still not an excuse to leave your kids unattended at the ages that they are at. I mean, the problem with the camera though, Rachel, is like he's gotten caught or almost caught. There's no way that he's gonna keep doing that shit. Like he has to know that the wife is watching him now. Update, February 8th, 2025, 4 days later. Last weekend, my husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone while I was gone and then refused to admit it or provide a plausible explanation. Since then, we had many arguments about it. I've been living in a constant state of anger and frustration. I didn't want to fight about it anymore, but I couldn't help it and kept bringing it up again and again. I couldn't lay low and pretend to get over it while I waited for him to do it again and catch him in whatever was going on. I also knew that demanding he tell me the truth wasn't going to get me anywhere, since he'd been refusing to talk and deflecting for days. All it was doing was making me enraged and feel like I was about to have a brain aneurysm. I told him to hand me his phone so I could check his location at the time. He refused. He said he wouldn't do it and that was a violation of his privacy. He won't be treated that way and refuses to give into my delusions. You think I enjoy being in a situation where I have to beg my husband to show me his phone so I can see where he was at? I hate it. I don't want to live that way. I told him it's simple. If he was really at home the entire time, just prove it. Why wouldn't he want to clear this whole thing up? I got so mad that he wouldn't turn over his phone that I told him I was going to the neighbors to get their doorbell footage. At first he was like, fine, go do it. He didn't think I actually would. He knows I don't like to air drama to others, so he probably figured I'd just swallow all of this crap he's been giving me. Luckily, I was totally being driven by anger at this point, so nothing was going to stop me from going to the neighbors. When I actually started to go out the door, he tried to stop me and followed me out the door. I felt pure anger rushing through my veins, nothing else. The neighbor, who I've probably said less than 10 words to in the entire time we've lived here, told me he'd send me the footage. I went home, told my husband that the neighbor didn't have the footage from that day anymore, and told him I just needed to go to the store and cool off. So I put the kids in the car and went and parked somewhere while I waited for the neighbor to send me the footage. I have the neighbor's number now too, and he told me if I need any more footage, he will be happy to give it to me. Ooh, a little devious OP. Okay, I see you. Hey, fight fire with fire, bro. At this point, all's fair in love and war. The video shows a blue car that I don't recognize show up and park in our driveway. A blonde woman gets out of the car and goes towards my house. She walks on the outside of our garage toward the gate leading to our backyard. The gate is too far back and out of the way to be seen on the doorbell footage. She and her car were there for 23 minutes. Imagine that. The car leaves right around the time that my husband called me to say he was home and had been home the entire time, as I was rushing home in a panic and calling him on repeat. One of the two possibilities as to where they went: she either came in through the side door of the house, which does provide direct access to the basement, or, and what I think is more likely, is that they were in the backmost area of our yard, which is a gated pool area. Immediately behind our house is a grass lawn, then you step down a few steps and we have a patio. And then there is a fully gated area where the pool is. It's not like you think of when you picture a gated pool. It's a full 6-foot wood fence all the way around, plus even taller landscaping for added privacy. You can't see into the area at all unless you're inside. I think it's more likely that they were back there because my son said his dad's keys were gone and we keep that gate locked with a key. The pool is closed for the winter, but there is one small building back there, sort of like a shed we converted into a changing area, and there is a covered patio with furniture. I'm convinced that's where they were. So technically he was home, but in an area totally removed from the house and where he couldn't see or hear the kids if something happened. I asked him how he could explain this. What were they doing? I obviously don't need him to tell me what they were doing, but for some reason, I still had hope that he'd finally be honest. He wasn't contrite. He showed no remorse. He was like, yeah, she was here, but I obviously never left. I cannot believe this guy. The level to which this motherfucker sticks to his guns is just like, dude, you've been caught. Take it to the chest, my guy. If you still think that you can get out of this scot-free, you're delusional and stupid. Who is she? How long has this been going on? And if he's going to be such a disgusting, despicable excuse of a man, then why couldn't he at least have found any other time and any other lie or excuse other than when he was home alone with our kids? I told him I know this has happened before and I demanded to know how many times he's done this when he's been home alone with the kids. He swears this is the only time, but he still doesn't have the balls to confess what they were doing. I don't believe him that this was the only time, FYI. I still have so many questions and I still feel like my heart is beating 200 times a minute. My blood pressure is through the roof. I've cried a lot, sobbed, begged for somebody to help me, yelled, screamed, ordered a bunch of books about divorce and custody. And you know what? The next day after our multiple explosive fights, him putting his hands on me and me seeing the evidence, he acted like everything was totally normal and like none of that stuff ever happened. I woke up still seething, exhausted, broken, and he's acting like everything is totally normal. He said he was ordering breakfast to be delivered from our favorite breakfast place. He asked if I wanted to go to the store together later and try this new recipe for chili tonight. What? Why would I want to do any of these things with you now? Obviously, no acknowledgement of anything he's done and what's transpired between us in the past few days. He deserves an Oscar for how well he was able to act like none of that happened. Completely comfortable and non-phased. Dude, this guy has to be a sociopath, because what the fuck is this? And also, way to just like casually drop, he put his hands on you? Like, bro, what? Yo, did we read anything like that in the story yet? Like, what the fuck? Girl, start collecting evidence. If I'm OP, I'm going through his phone. Wait till that fucking idiot falls asleep and go through every single text message, send over screenshots, check his pictures, check his DMs on social media. Like, there's no way this idiot is careful if he's so reckless to put his children's lives in danger. This dude is not slick. He's definitely fucked up somewhere. You just gotta find that fuck up. I know that it's a waste of my energy, but I just desperately want him to admit the full truth of what he did that day and any other day with this woman. I want to hear it from him. It won't change whatever he's done, but he could at least have the respect and decency to be honest now that he's been caught. That's a ridiculous thought though, right? How foolish of me to expect this man to show decency and honesty now. If he was a decent and honest man, then he wouldn't have had a strange woman over to her house and been out of sight from her kids for 23 minutes. His continued denial and refusal to admit to anything other than the bare minimum, his attitude like I'm somehow being controlling or infringing on his rights by asking for information, that's almost more hurtful than him cheating on me. I mean, shit, bro. Yeah, it would be satisfying, but like, you gotta cut your losses. You know what happened. Whether he admits it or not, at this point, you gotta move on. You gotta move on to the part where you fuck him over, take everything that you can from him, and make sure he never has a second in those kids' lives. Commenter 3, weird thing is, if he showed his location, it would have been put at home and probably put you more at ease that he didn't leave. He is garbage, especially to be doing that shit when he has the kids. Leaving them on their own, he'd rather cheat and possibly his kids getting hurt or dying. Disgusting. OOP, yes, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't he have just given me his phone? It makes me think that there are other things in his phone besides his location that he doesn't want me to see. As soon as possible, search through his phone. There's no way he's slick with it. I've seen enough from like the first post that you had. I would have been out of there off of that first post. Like, hey, we're gonna go visit my mom. Deuces. File for emergency custody, whatever you gotta do. Get the fuck out of there, man. You do not want to be in this situation any longer. I feel like the longer that you're in this situation, the more shit that can potentially happen, especially if he's putting his hands on her. Am I being a bridezilla by asking my best friend's partner to not propose at my wedding? There are almost no scenarios where this is okay, but I'm here for the bridezilla drama. Originally posted to Charlotte Dobray's YouTube subreddit on February 21st, 2025. I get married in April. We got engaged at Christmas, but in January, my dad was given 5 months max after being taken off of chemo for it not working. I will preface this by saying I never wanted the big white wedding. I am not a fan of being the center stage, etc. My best friend, 26 female of 14 plus years, is the polar opposite of me. My partner and I have been super busy with work, so I have allowed my parents to plan the wedding. His parents are out of the country on holabobs, but have had input on today's episode of I have no idea what the fuck that is, so we're gonna Google it. Holabobs is just a word that can refer to a holiday or a dance song. What a crazy duality of a word. It could mean a holiday or it could be a dance song. You Brits and your funny words. My dad wanted a bigger celebration as this will be the last chance he gets to celebrate. I am obviously heartbroken and want to give him exactly what he wants. I chose my bridesmaids and my partner chose his best man / groomsman. My best friends is one of my bridesmaids and my niece is my other. My bestie from day one of being asked has been finding dresses. Not a problem. I've said all along, I just want them to feel comfortable, so to wear what they want. I am paying. Some of the dresses were questionable, but I honestly didn't have the heart to tell her. Men's suits were all chosen and everyone was happy. A little side note here. My parents have never been a fan of my bestie. They think she's an attention seeker and a bit of a tart. They accepted my choice because they know I love her to bits. Last week, when we went to see my bestie, she had a baby recently. So love going to see Bubba. She was saying, I think her partner, let's call him Paul, is going to propose at your wedding, and getting all excited. She kept saying how she wanted it to be a perfect proposal and we have the perfect venue. That is true. The venue is stunning. On the way home from seeing her, I was talking to my partner and said that I didn't want him to propose at the wedding, as we were already celebrating a wedding and my beautiful dad, and didn't want to take away from that. I reached out and tried to explain this to my bestie. Her reply, if you're going to be a bridezilla, I don't want to be a part of your rushed wedding. If you can't stand other people getting attention, you're really pathetic and need to get over yourself. Snip, snip, snip. Fuck her. Bro, someone says that shit to me about my wedding, about the biggest day of my life. Double middle fingers, get the fuck out of my life. It would be embarrassing to crawl to the parents and be like, y'all were right, but like the parents were cooking. This girl sounds awful. Here I will input. Partner and I have been together 4 years. Her and her partner have been together 1 year. Not that this is any sort of competition. Yeah, but 1 year? 1 year and then a proposal at a wedding just screams the most unhealthy relationship of all time. But here's where I may be the bridezilla / a-hole. My response, I'm truly sorry you feel like I've been a bridezilla / a-hole. I'm trying to be accommodating and free-willed as possible. You've had your choice of dress, shoes, hair, makeup, accessories, which were all paid for by me. And we have accommodated bringing your baby, which of course we would, as we love you. You know I don't like major attention, but this is my family, my friends, and they're coming to our wedding. If you're so desperate for attention on you, perhaps it's best you're not there. I'm sorry that this didn't work out. I'm truly heartbroken, but this day needs to be perfect for my dad. Her last response, I didn't respond. Your dad's gonna die. He won't even be here to give a shit. Yo, someone says that shit about my parent, bro. I'm throwing hands. The fucking audacity of that one-liner is just, bro. I don't mind losing her over this, but I'm heartbroken and now thinking I may have been a bridezilla. Am I a bridezilla for caring about how my wedding goes? No. You're just somebody who wants to celebrate the most important day of their life and doesn't want that to be upended by someone proposing at a wedding. Bro, honestly, like, I'm going to a good friend's wedding in 2 weeks. I am a groomsman, not to suck my own dick. Someone proposes at his wedding, I am tackling them. I'm going to jail. Like, no way, bro. Normalize telling people like this that they're fucking stupid. Nobody's done it up to this point, but by God, does someone need to tell OP's ex-best friend, I guess. She's dumb. Bridezilla, after what she said to your dad, after that, she already had evidence to why she wasn't the bridezilla. That was just icing on the cake. That was the cherry on top of like, bro, you are not a bridezilla. Give this woman a beat down. I've heard that people want to propose at weddings because it's an event where people who can't normally get together will all be at one place, but I don't get it. I also don't get that. Why do you want an audience for your proposal? Like, when I propose to someone, I want that shit to just be us. Intimate as fuck. Like, obviously maybe a photographer to like capture the moment or whatever. I'm not trying to make it into a huge spectacle for everybody to just see and clap at, you know? That's embarrassing. I just want that moment to be between me and her. You feel me? This transcribed screenshot is essentially what was communicated in this paragraph. So like, I guess it's just evidence that this is actually real. There is an edit on the same post, February 24th, 2025, 3 days later. I thought I'd update with a few common points. 1, I no longer want this girl in my life, let alone the wedding. She's a vile human being. 2, I have always been that one girl she gets at. I've never had much luck making friends, so I think that's why I've always accepted shitty treatment. 3, partner hates her and has hated her since they met. 4, I am gonna send a message and block. She's done. I'm not sure how to share screenshots, but I'll work it out. Drop her like she's hot, bro. I mean, I think it's a red flag if your parents didn't like her and your partner didn't like her. The call was coming from inside the house. You gotta drop people like that, you know? Update post, February 24th, 2025, same day as the edit, 3 days from the original post. As I'm sure you all expected, we have an update. He was going to leave her, not propose. So my partner and I reached out to him, asked him to meet in a neutral place. We chose the park near to his house. He agreed to meet us alone. Side note, we live about 2 hours apart since I moved out of my parents, and we moved to a different city. I travel most weekends to see my parents. I showed him the messages from the screenshots shown in my last post, and he was raging. Paul was so angry at what had been said, then turned to us and said, I actually wanted to leave her, but was waiting until after the wedding as to not ruin the day for you and your dad. We had a long chat. Paul and my partner have a lot in common, and he's always been lush to the both of us. We drove him home and left. Driving the 2 hours home, I felt relieved. I've never felt so stress-free. I had no one to try and please. And who needs an egg-sucking bridesmaid anyway? Paul rang when we got home. They've split up. She tried to deny the messages, but didn't delete them from her phone, so he knew it was true. He told her he was repulsed and was planning on leaving after she'd been unkind to his mom, also ill. Paul wants an amicable split with the baby, so we'll possibly be getting lawyers involved. My dad is over the moon. He's heartbroken that I've lost pretty much my only friend, but he's so glad she's gone. He's surviving day to day, and we're giving him the best we possibly can. We took him suit shopping, and he looks absolutely incredible. My mom hasn't gotten her dress yet, but we are having a special girly day out soon. Dresses, spa day, and just overall love. Major updates: 1, password with vendors. 2, Paul is still coming, either alone or with a friend or someone else. He deserves a break. 3, Paul is going to tell her parents, who are massively religious and massively strict and will not tolerate bullies. I mean, I don't think OP ever said how old they are, but at the probably old age that they're at, having to be told on by your parents is fucking crazy. When you have such shitty behavior as an adult that someone has to go tell your parent, that should be a wake-up call. Oh, we love karma, chat. We fucking love karma. How do you fucking mix that up? Like, how delulu do you have to be like, oh, my partner's gonna propose at your wedding, just to find out that dude is like, nah, bro, I was gonna fucking snip, chop that shit. Y'all, don't keep shitty people in your life. Please, please, please have the respect for yourself, evaluate your friendships, and really realize, like, do these people actually give a shit about me? Are they actually good friends? Am I overreacting? Fiance told me he had a surprise for me and drove me to a house and said it was ours. Let me believe it, and then said it was a prank. Posted in r/am I overreacting? Original post, December 7th, 2024. We were out looking at Christmas lights tonight when my fiance said he had a surprise for me. He usually isn't great with surprises, so I was intrigued. We drove a ways and pulled up to this house. Mind you, it's nighttime. It's a gorgeous house with a sign in the yard. He asked, what do you think of this house? I've been dying to move out of my cramped 1-bedroom apartment, so I'd literally move into a medium-sized shack if I had the chance. I told him it was pretty. He said, what do you see in the yard? And I told him I saw a for sale sign. And then he told me to look again and pulled back. The sign said, under contract. It started to click in my head, and I had started to get really excited. He let me sit in my excitement for a while before I asked, is this our house? And he started laughing and said, no, and drove away. Am I overreacting? I haven't stopped crying. This was one of the cruelest things I think I've ever had done to me by someone I love and trust. Maybe I'm a dickhead for this, but like, is it a good prank? No. Is it a prank so hurtful to like cry over it? I don't know if I agree with that. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a dickhead move. It's not a prank. It's just him being cruel and unusual, especially if it's something that's like important to her. But like, I don't know, like I'll look in chat. Are y'all gonna be like, yo, fucking get rid of this man? The fuck kind of prank is that? Like, if somebody did this to me, I would be like, what the fuck? Like, that's such a shitty prank. Like, I'd be upset, but I don't know if I'd be crying. I don't know if like, what did they say? This was one of the cruelest things I think I've ever had done to me by someone I love and trust. Honestly, girl, if this is the cruelest thing someone's ever done to you, like, you're lucky, bro. Yes, I agree with you guys. This is not funny. This is not funny at all, but like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a dickhead. I totally am okay with that. I don't even think this is breakup worthy. Like, assuming your guys' relationship is hunky-dory, like, I don't think this is relationship ending. I just would be like, bro, what are you doing? You know, moving out of my place is important to me. This isn't a prank. I'm actually really upset. Why would you do that? Like, I would even put this on Reddit, if that makes sense. Damn, you guys are saying this is breakup worthy? This is how I feel, Asian Fury. I think there needs to be a serious conversation and see how he reacts and responds. If you tell him like, hey, this actually meant the world to me. Why the fuck would you do that to me? And he's like, oh, babe, it's just a joke. Like, deal with it. Like, fuck you. It's not even that big of a deal. Then I'm like, okay, you guys are probably not compatible. If this really means the world to you and it was worth crying over, then yeah, get rid of the man. What's the general consensus? Are we like nuclear on this? End a whole engagement because of a shitty, ill-intentioned, honestly kind of cruel prank to her in her eyes. It's him laughing at her that makes this whole prank cruel. I would agree with that if he was laughing at her crying. If he's like, suck it up, you're a baby, blah, 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 then I'd be like, yeah, but he started laughing like while doing the prank, which is like, even if you're dumb and you think that's funny when it's not, you're going to obviously laugh at it. I want to know how he reacted after this. What did Cree say? I don't think it's breakup worthy, but if she establishes a boundary and he breaks it again, then that's where shit will hit the fan. That's how I feel about this. As much as maybe he is a cruel and unusual person, maybe he just had a lapse in judgment and he didn't realize how important it was to OP to get out of her cramped one-bedroom apartment, how important it was for her to have a house, and he did this prank thinking that it would be this funny thing, but it wasn't. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter, if this was a one-off and it's really fell flat, then I think I could let it go. But if this is a pattern where he often pulls pranks that are cruel, not funny, then I couldn't be with someone like that. OOP, first cruel prank other than an occasional jump scare here and there, and we both try to spook each other. I can't even fathom how incredibly unkind it was. So it sounds like it's out of character. Commenter, how old are you both? I'm curious. It's totally shitty at any age. OOP, 24 and 26. And then somebody asked, could he even afford it? He most definitely can afford it. Maybe they didn't put the right comments in here, but I feel like the commenters are not asking the right questions. There is a top comment. Adorable puppers. We do not marry people who are mean to us. Please tell this person you were only kidding when you said yes to the proposal. Damn, that's actually such a fire comeback. I can't even lie. Am I overreacting? Does not have a consensus spot, but most responses told OOP she's not overreacting. Well, then I'm wrong. I still want to know his reaction afterwards. Like, was he apologetic? Was he like, oh my God, I made a fucky wucky. Let me do anything and everything that I can to fix that? Or did he dig his heels in? And then we got the update post, February 22nd, 2025, 2.5 months later. I posted this back around Christmas time and you guys had a lot to say. I just wanted to come back and say that as of yesterday, the wedding is off. He started to show some very negative tendencies that lean towards abuse. Thank you guys for your support. This is not easy. A little vague, but hey, if he's showing negative tendencies that lead towards abuse, yes, cut that shit off. One of OOP's comments. Commenter, the political climate is bringing out the worst in people, but on the bright side, we're seeing their true colors. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but your respect and trust with him will never be fully restored no matter how many apologies are made. Ditch the boy. Real men don't try to emotionally manipulate their partners. OOP, underneath the screenshot, I said that I have officially ended the engagement. And yes, you're right. Unfortunately, what really started showing his true colors was a disagreement over politics. One of those Reddit posts where like backstory would have definitely been nice to know, because a Trumper pulling pranks is probably not doing it for the art of a prank. I hate those little stories with hardly any info can make truly informed decisions. Calling this emotional manipulation just seems like nuclear to me. Don't get me wrong, it can be, but just automatically assuming it without also maybe assuming like, hey, maybe he had a lapse of judgment. I just think that's like super nuclear. But now knowing the politics stuff and now knowing that there were other cruel things and negative tendencies that he was leaning towards, yeah, totally get rid of him. My daughter's school says I can't walk her to the building. This was posted in r/am I wrong? Original post, February 24th, 2025. Context, my wife works first shift and I work second. It's not ideal, but we make it work. Because of this, 3 or so days a week, I drop my daughter off, 6-year-old, at school. She loves when I drop her off, but every time it's time to get out, She gets so sad and seems like she wants to cry. She has seen some other parents from time to time walking their kids up to the school and always talked about how she thought it was cool. So I figured, hey, when I take her to school, I'll park and we'll walk up together. She absolutely loved it. She's smiling and laughing and didn't even look sad, so I decided to do that from then on. It continued every time I dropped her for maybe 4 weeks now. And today, earlier this afternoon, my wife got a phone call from the school stating that I was violating school policy and I am no longer allowed to walk her up to the front anymore. Now, I'm not that kind of dude to go off and cause a scene, and honestly, most of the time when things like this pop up, I just say fuck it and move on. But this one is kind of bugging me. I'm not hurting anyone. When we walk up, we're out of the way of traffic and buses. I can't for the life of me think of a legitimate reason why this isn't okay. I will admit, my understanding and familiarity with school policies is lacking, so I may just not be seeing the full picture. Tomorrow I'm dropping my daughter off again, debating going inside and firmly figuring out what's the deal. Would I be wrong if I tried to fight this, or should I let it go? I feel like we're missing context here. Like, why can other parents walk their kid up to the school, but OP can't? I don't really understand it. Edit, I guess. I'm Reddit stupid and on my phone. Figured I may as well add some stuff since I keep seeing it repeated. Yes, I have seen the other parents walk their kids up personally. I only mentioned my daughter seeing them because I thought it was relevant. Reading the policy / visiting the website. At the beginning of the year, they had us sign a paper that asked whether she was going to ride the bus or be picked up, what time school starts, what time they are considered tardy, and what time school lets out. That's it. As for their website, I spent my whole lunch break at work looking through that thing. I found their school policies tab and nothing about walking your kid up to the building. I even went onto the website for the whole school system for our county. Nothing. Question that keeps coming up. Am I parking in the car rider area / blocking other people? No, I am not. There's open parking all along the track field beside the school on the main road. That's where I park. I'm not going to go in there and blow up like some boomer Karen at Walgreens. I'm not. If anyone did that, it would be my wife. I don't even complain when a restaurant gets my order wrong, and me asking if I should fight this wasn't me implying I plan to put on war paint and call the banners. I meant I was going to actually ask what the issue is and find out what's up with the situation firsthand, other than my usual, oh well. Did I call first? Yes. They said someone could discuss it with me tomorrow after drop-off if I'd like. I made this post to ask if I should even bother or just accept it and move on. It's a safety policy. That's a good point. And honestly, it didn't cross my mind. It did not occur to me that her and I walking up from the side of the building to the front with my daughter to the sidewalk about 10 yards from the front doors with her Hello Kitty backpack would be unsafe. Okay, was that sarcastic or serious? I genuinely can't tell. Does her mom walk her up? No, she doesn't do the sad thing with her when she gets out. They spend a lot more time together during the week, so I think they're both glad for the break from each other. Last thing, I really do not care about waiting in line. I'm not in a rush. The only reason this post happened is because my daughter loves it. She thinks it's cool and I like making her happy. I work second shift and we don't get to see each other a lot during the week. If any conversation happens at this school about all of this, it will be civil and polite. As I said before, I'm not a screaming Karen. I don't want any animosity at the school. I've met her principals and teachers, and they're nice people. Regardless of how I feel about it though, I'm going to abide by their decision. It's their house and they make the rules, no hard feelings. Again though, thanks for your replies. I appreciate it, even the mean and negative ones. Try to be less pedantic. You'll be happier. Thanks guys, have a good one. I think it's worth going to the meeting. Like if this is something that means the world to your daughter, like yeah, do your best to try to make it happen. Don't go nuclear over it. And it sounds like that wasn't even his plan. He was just kind of like, is this worth even fighting for? Is this like a common practice? Which like, I'm trying to think chat, is this common practice? Like I'm just trying to recall on my memory of things. And like from what I remember, if my parent wanted to walk me into school, they could. And I don't really understand how that's like a safety concern. How old is this kid again? 6 years old. Dude, I have a 6-year-old kid. Like, I kind of want to walk them into school. I feel like it's kind of a fun time as a parent, but also that kid's fucking 6, man. Like, I want to make sure they get in the door, they get in the school, and they're safe. Elementary schools in my area do not allow parents close to the front door in the morning / after school. The only time parents are allowed to go to the door is if they sign in at the office. Damn, has shit changed? Like, what is the reasoning on that? It's for student safety because of all the horrible things that have happened at elementary schools. Listen, I get it, like child safety safety. In theory, I guess someone could use this as a ruse to like kidnap kids, but I'm thinking I have a 6-year-old kid that I love and I want to give them the best experience possible, and I also care about their safety. Like, I want the ability to just walk them up to the front of the school just to make sure they like get in and I can watch them go in. Why are the parents allowed to do it, but he's not? I think they probably are just cracking down on all the parents is what I'm assuming. Predators are bold these days. They don't need to be sneaky anymore. They just need to be fast. My kids will most certainly be walked to the door, and I'd for sure kick up shit if I was told not to. That's kind of how I feel, bro. I understand if they're trying to prioritize children's safety, but with how underfunded our schools are and how usually there is an insane ratio between kids and students, me personally, I don't want to leave it up to the teachers to make sure that my kid goes in that school safely, especially at the age of 6. Maybe once they're past the age of like 12. It's not cool anymore anyways for them. Fine, let's leave it up to the teachers, whatever. At that point, it's like teaching them, hey, don't go off with strangers when you go to school. But like when they're 6, bro, I want to watch my kid go into that school. I do not trust some teacher who's underpaid, probably hungover from going out the night before. Like, I don't want to put the fate of my kid on them. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm not a great person to ask about this because like I don't have kids. I don't know very much about the school system, but just my intuition, I don't think it's fair to not be able to walk my kid to the front of the school and watch them walk in. If anything, that takes more pressure off of teachers. All they have to do is stand there and make sure parents aren't going in, and then they can also start identifying like, hey, that's a normal parent. That's a normal parent. Okay, that's a random dude who doesn't look like he has a kid with him. First update, February 25th, 2025, the next day. This morning, I talked with my daughter about the situation and explained that we probably won't be able to do it anymore. She understood. We're brainstorming ideas to make our mornings together more special. I had the meeting with the principal this morning as well. We waited for all of the other car riders and buses to disperse, then parked in front of the school and came inside. It was fairly uneventful and very polite and pleasant. He explained that there was no official policy as of right now, but last week during pickup, a student took off running and almost got hit, so they're in the works of implementing it. I didn't know about the almost incident because I'm at work by that time, and my wife didn't know because she gets there pretty early to be towards the front of the line. It seems reasonable, and that's that. It was cool while it lasted, though. Like I said earlier, we're thinking of something cool to replace it. I already leave her notes or funny drawings on her doodle pad for when she gets home, so we'll think of something. Last week during pickup, a student took off running and almost got hit. I mean, wouldn't the solution to that be making parents hold their kids' hands and walk them up to the front? So staff wasn't being vigilant with the children, so it's not the parents. I'm thinking like my teachers, like, yes, they're there to teach me and they're there to keep me as safe as possible, but at a certain point, like, you can't expect one person to be able to keep an eye on like 20 to 30 children at the time, and especially at something as chaotic as drop off. That's why I'm honestly pro like parents being in charge of making sure their kids get into school, because like the teachers are, like I said, very underfunded, underpaid. They're focused on teaching. Like, why should they also kind of have to be babysitters too? The kid taking off running and almost getting hit by a car, that's not on the school. That's on the parent of that child. I don't know. Maybe I just have like a kind of flawed understanding of the role of teachers and administration at schools, but I think that's a parenting problem. These things seem entirely unrelated. A child running off into the road has nothing to do with a parent walking to the building to drop off their kid. To me, that's the solution. Oh, hey, this kid ran off into the road while they were probably hopping out of their car. Oh, let's have the parents walk their kids up to like make them responsible to make sure their kids don't run out in the street. In an ideal world, it would be on the parents, but there's already such a backlash when the school system tries to tell parents how to do their jobs. That's so dog shit to me. If you're a parent and you really think like, oh, not only is school to teach my kid, but also to like take care of my kid, I'm like, bro, that's on you, man. Those are probably the same like iPad parents. We do have a single top comment that doesn't make a lot of sense though. A kid took off and almost got hit. So wouldn't it make sense that having parents walk their kids to the front door be more responsible? See them go in instead of dropping them off around the corner? Or is there a specific drop-off area with teachers? And then somebody replied to that comment, probably more about the amount of people coming in and out and not knowing if a student is under a parent's watch or the school's. To be honest, at my kid's school, I see the most dangerous behaviors from students when there's an event where parents are supposed to be managing their own kids on campus. But since they're on campus, they assume staff are managing even when there's info saying they aren't doing that. It gets hectic. I can understand why they would minimize that and the amount of people going in and out of the building. It's just safety. I understand the argument. It's a little ridiculous to me, but I get it. Update 2, February 26, 2025, next day, 2 days after original post. Didn't expect to make another update, but I just got off the phone with an administrator at the school. I can walk my kid to the door. Apparently, they had their school counseling meeting or something like that, and a lot of people brought up some of the points you guys did about how it makes no sense and relevancy and whatnot. Also, as some kind of speculated at, it was another parent who also works at the school who complained. The lady I talked to on the phone said she couldn't go into specifics, but the complainer basically said, "I don't like that," and used the almost incident with that runner kid as an excuse. It's my wife's turn to take my daughter tomorrow, but I'm going to take her the rest of the week and walk her up both days. It's not a big deal, but it feels nice to win one. I really hope there's a world where if I have kids, I can walk them up to school. Because I think that's fun as a parent. In my opinion, it's like as soon as the kid goes through the gates of the school, your child's safety really is on the school. But everything leading up to that is on you. Shit, for me, especially at 6 years old, I don't want to drop off my kid. I want to walk them in, say goodbye, give them a little kiss on the head or whatever, send them off to school, make sure they're in the gates safe. Because then I did my job. I understand the safety argument. Like if you're really concerned about parents being there who shouldn't be there, make parents sign up to have like a lanyard with their name on it or something like that they have to wear when they do pick up and drop off. And anybody not wearing a lanyard has to yoink and get out of there. To me, that's the solution there. Not let's go nuclear and like take away the opportunity for you to oversee the safety of your own kid. My boyfriend of 1 year wants to move in together when our leases are up, but he says I can't keep my altar. 27 female OP, 28 male boyfriend. Original post November 16th, 2015. I keep an altar. It's about the size of a bedside table with a drawer. There's usually a couple of glass candles on it, some bowls and cups, and imagery of specific saints that I work with. Tommy and I have been dating for a year, and our leases will end around the 1.5 year mark. He says he wants us to move into a place together. I was really into this idea. It sounds great to me. Then a few nights ago, Tommy was at my place and he asked what I'd do when we moved in together. He pointed at my altar and said, "Will you just get rid of it?" I said, "Of course not. I'll be taking it with me." And then he said that I couldn't bring the altar. That since he's an atheist, he doesn't want stuff like that in his home. I told him that we don't have to have it in the living room, that I can move it elsewhere. But the living room is just where I naturally put it. He said no. He doesn't want any religious stuff in his home. And then he said that I would be disrespecting his beliefs. And when I told him I wouldn't be okay with living without the altar, he made it seem like I was putting religion ahead of him. Like I was choosing religion over him. So she's disrespecting your beliefs because she has this altar, but like, what about disrespecting her beliefs? Like, y'all know I'm not religious like that, but I'm like, dude, if you want to be religious, do your shit. And if you're gonna be in a relationship with someone religious, you can't just expect them to put it away. Why does you being atheist trump her being religious? It shouldn't. Like I was choosing religion over him, which I'm not. But I don't think I should have to give up one of the only religious things I even do. Is this just a sign of long-term incompatibility? I've lived with an atheist before and didn't have any issues, so I know it's not something all atheists are like. Like, I don't even think this is about religion. Like, I think this is a control thing, bro. Like, he's testing the waters. He's like, oh, can I manipulate her into completely changing to the way that I see fit for her to live? I don't fucks with that. You do not want to be with somebody who thinks that their beliefs take precedence over yours and that there's no room for any other beliefs in their life. Not only is that an incompatibility issue, but I think that also starts showing some of his true colors. It feels a little control freaky to me, chat. Not a breakup situation, but he needs to back off with the beliefs. He needs to respect her property. I think this is a case of him being controlling and manipulating. I think that is a breakup reason. Their relationship is brand stinking new. He's showing his true colors that it's either his way or no way. And yeah, sure, maybe try to talk to him about it, but I highly doubt this guy's gonna budge. If he has like this level of disrespect and this level of like, my beliefs are more important than yours, that's an issue. If you get in a relationship with someone and they have different religious beliefs than you, it should be, oh, well, we respect each other's beliefs equally. You want to still support it. Like if you're an atheist, but you choose to date someone who's really religious and goes to church, in my opinion, if you're dating them, you have to respect that and you have to support them in that. Relevant comments. Someone commented, he keeps calling it his home. When is it going to be ours, not his? Ooh, that's a good point. I didn't even pick up on that. OOP said, that's what I asked. Why was he calling it his home? He didn't have an answer. So there's another top comment that I think is important here. Yeah, this is definitely bigger than the altar, especially if you two want to get married and have kids at some point. If you haven't had those discussions, then you need to before you get any further with the moving in plans. But to be clear with Tommy, that you're not asking him to acknowledge the altar as religious or anything to do with him at all. So if he can't live and let live, he's the one putting his lack of beliefs ahead of you. And this probably isn't going to work out. I forgot about that. Like, if you guys raise your kids, is he going to throw a fit when you want to take them to church, but he doesn't want you to take them to church? Like, y'all know my stance on religion. Like, I don't believe in that shit. But like, if you believe in that shit, you have every right to believe in it. And like, if you have kids, you have every right to bring them over and at least healthfully introduce them to it. There is such thing as going too far in forcing your kids into religion. I genuinely believe that. But like, I went to church a little bit. I think it helped with like instilling good morals. But at a certain point, it just became toxic. I think if you guys are already running into these issues, this is gonna crash and burn. So like, why move in together? Update, November 24th, 2015, 8 days later. I want to clarify a number of things before I continue. Dating an atheist as someone who keeps an altar has never been an issue before. I am not seriously religious, and my beliefs have never stood in the way of anything. There are no rules I follow. It doesn't change my socio-political alignment, etc. It's a dedicated place for me to pay respects to my ancestors and to the saints I work with. It's no different than you setting up a dedicated room for video games. I think Reddit should open up to learning about religion beyond direct examples of Christianity or the bigger ones. I saw a lot of ignorant comments that clearly don't comprehend why people keep altars. And believe me when I say that there are many of us, and no, we are not mentally ill. That's just silly. On to the update. I used a lot of the conversations from my post to determine how I would talk with him about it. But it turned out he read my post and he read the comments himself. And even better, he was able to come to me with his concerns and communicate to me what he was worried about and how he felt. Wow, damn, I mean, rare man W, where he comes up and is like, this is how I feel. Still, he shouldn't even be in this situation, but at least he's maybe somewhat aware. We ended up talking for a long time about the issue, and it boiled down to him being a little afraid and not understanding my practice. He said he has always been a little uncomfortable about it because he's been trained to see this stuff as weird and creepy and things like that. He asked me to explain it more and to give him some time to read up on what I was doing so he could familiarize himself with it. He took a few days, but in the end, when he came back to me to talk about it, he told me that he was no longer worried and that he was sorry that he made it into such a big deal. He even asked if it would be okay for him to light a tea light now and then because he likes the idea of candles as offerings or recognition of the deceased. He bought a stack of books to read up on regarding this stuff, and he is reading a little bit each night. He's very apologetic about how things went down and how he seemed, but I understand that his tone and behavior were absolutely due to him not understanding or knowing about this stuff. Things are going great now, and we're still on track to move in together. The conversation about it not just being his house struck him the most. Damn, what a fucking turnaround. I was not expecting that. What the fuck? Rare man W on Reddit. We don't see it very often where men are willing to accept that what they've been doing is wrong. Am I overreacting? I went on a date and saw my wife calling on his car Bluetooth. Originally posted to r/am I overreacting January 6th, 2025. I, 28 female, went on a date with a guy, 30 male. We met up, ate breakfast, and hit the road because it's a long drive. Everything was going good. We were listening to music and just vibing, and then he gets a phone call. He was driving, so his phone was connected to the Bluetooth, and I can see who was calling. The caller ID said, my wife, and my stomach dropped. We had been dating/talking for 7 months, and nothing he did gave any signs of him being married. He didn't pick up and let it go to voicemail. My mood instantly shifts and he asks what's wrong. I told him I saw who called and that he needed to call them back right now. He was going on about how it was his brother, and I said that's BS because I saw clear as day that it said my wife. He goes on his phone and shows me his recent calls, and it says big bro at the time the call came through. The thing is that when the call came through initially and he let it go to voicemail, I was staring at it in disbelief, and then I looked away because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's possible that he changed the contact name really quick. I told him again to call the number, and he doesn't show me, but he does call someone, and I can hear a male voice on the line, and we start arguing. Hold on, who's driving here? He was driving, so his phone was connected to Bluetooth. So like, okay, bro's driving, like one hand on the wheel. So he gets a call and then he goes to the contact, searches the contact up on his phone. So my wife clicks on the contact, hits edit. That would be an incredible feat if he was able to, on the fly, while he's driving, change a contact in his phone. How OP explains it. He changed the contact name really quick. I'm not trying to call OP crazy. I'm just more like, if there's an explanation, I don't think it's that one. He insists he doesn't have a wife and he doesn't know how that happened, etc. We get to the spot and I try to put it past me, but I can't let it go. If he had refused to show me his phone at all, I would have Ubered home. We ended up leaving earlier than planned and he keeps trying to explain himself, but I can't forget the image of my wife calling. I told him I needed some space to think about what happened. Am I overreacting or is this a messed up prank? I mean, I don't think it's a prank. Can you delete recent calls? Oh yeah, okay, I can delete my recent calls. I'm just learning that now. He could also not be married, but refer to his girlfriend as my wife. I know a lot of people do that, where they'll put someone in their phone as like wifey or like my wife or something like that. The plausible explanation in my head would be like, oh, hey, maybe it was like an ex and he forgot to change their contact number because they haven't talked in a long time or something. Like, that would be pretty stupid. And if it was, like, he should just say that. But I don't see a reasonable explanation to why this would happen. I don't think OP is making shit up. I don't think OP is hallucinating. If OP is really this dude's side piece, I don't see, if she actually went through his phone, how he could have gotten rid of all that evidence while they're like arguing about this, while he's driving, when they got there. Like, maybe I need the timeline clarified, or like how much deep diving she did. I just don't see it. Maybe this was a technological fucky wucky, but that would be pretty stupid. I don't even believe that either. First comment, why and how would this be a prank? Have you been to his house, out with his friends? Some people do put sarcastic or nicknames for certain people in their contacts, but him switching up the contact name would have most likely taken some effort that you would have noticed if you were still sitting next to him and while he was driving. That to me is the big, like, holy shit. Like, it would take a lot of effort if he wasn't driving and just double if he was. You were right to take some time to yourself. Trust your gut. Second comment, I will add to this, as a married man, I have never saved my wife's contact as my wife. My married friends don't either. It's either her name or a pet name. I'm not saying it's not possible, just very odd. And then a third comment, could it be that he had missed a call from Big Bro just before he picked you up and he erased that call from the log? Assuming they're on iPhones, it was really fucking easy for me to delete a call. All you have to do is slide your finger over and like it's gone. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I could totally see how he might be able to fudge the call logs. However, let me point out here really quick. He goes on his phone and shows me recent calls and it says Big Bro at the time the call came through. The timestamps line up. Not saying that there isn't a way that this is still weird or, you know, messed up, but I think it's important to note he could have deleted it, don't get me wrong, but there was also a call that coincided with the time that this happened. It says that she went through his phone, like assuming she did a good job, like looked at his pictures, looked at his text messages, like checked social media DMs. Could it have been an Instagram call? I think it could have been. Yetta, can you call me real quick? Like, I'm trying to figure out if like a screen will pop up on my Instagram. Yetta, say hi to stream. Oh, no, Yetta? Yetta. Hello? God? It's still connecting. What the fuck? Yetta. Yetta. Sorry, Yetta, we gotta hang up. That was your one shot, Yetta. I think part of it, chat, is I don't have my notifications on for Instagram, so I don't think it would ring like a normal call, but could that be it? Like, could someone have called from like Discord or something like that? That's my question. You can't make names for people on Discord, right? You can nickname in Discord? All right, shit, maybe it's Discord, guys. I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. Bro's got like a Discord kitten or some shit. That's my final answer. Prediction, he's got a Discord kitten. Update February 15th, 2025, about a month after the original post. After my post, I listened to my gut and took a step back. I told my ex, that I couldn't look at him the same after that trip and needed space. He kept reaching out with long messages declaring his love, but never actually explained how my wife happened. I took Reddit's advice and did some digging. He's not on social media, but I found him on True People Search. Turns out he really isn't married, which I already suspected. I've dated enough to know when someone's hiding something big, and this didn't feel like that. So I called and asked for the truth. He put Big Bro on the phone, who tried to claim the car had somehow saved his contacts, and that's why I saw my wife calling. Total bullshit. When I called it out, Big Bro left the call, and I got into another argument with my ex. I told him I was done and thought that was that. Wrong. He kept sending long messages asking to see me and would keep calling, which I ignored, until he finally said he'd tell me the truth. At that point, That's all I wanted because I knew what I saw and felt like I was being gaslit. So I called. Y'all, it was a test. There's no wife, no girlfriend, no significant other. He admitted to making it up because I had already been pulling away before all this and he wanted to see if I really cared. He was crying, saying he didn't mean for it to go this far. Honestly, at this point, I felt relieved. I had started to doubt myself and was right to trust my instincts, but that didn't change anything. I ended things again. And of course, he went right back to the long-winded messages, so I blocked him. It's over. It's done. Moral of the story, always trust your gut. To answer some questions, no, I've never been to his house because I only do that if I see something going somewhere. Make of that what you will. 2, this isn't the first time he's tested me, so I already had doubts. 3, yes, I've met Big Brother before, but we weren't close. Turns out he was in on it the whole time. 4, no, this isn't fake. What kind of stupid dog shit test was that? Like, the best way to get her to not pull away is by gaslighting her into thinking I had a wife when I really don't have a wife. But then when she confronts me about it, I'm gonna come up with this insane, elaborate lie that doesn't make sense. Honestly, probably a good thing a man like this doesn't have the opportunity to reproduce because we definitely don't need offspring as stupid as this man. Someone commented, so his end goal was what? If you stayed even though he had a wife, you were the one? What the fuck? OOP, I honestly don't know. Like, who would stay in that situation? LOL. Maybe he had a girlfriend and got caught. Maybe he was priming me for cheating. Or maybe he just wanted to get rid of me. No clue. He said it was to see if I cared, as if my reaction would somehow prove my feelings for him. It doesn't make any sense, but it's giving manipulative and toxic, and I'm over it. Someone replied to that saying, it's called test and apologize. I just learned about this myself at 46. Stupid games men play. I recently had to block a guy for testing me. Oh, interesting. So like intentionally making them mad, but like making them look crazy about it so that they end up apologizing and doubting themselves. My husband got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me about it. We have a 36 female OP and a 41 male husband. Original post April 2nd, 2018. Before we get into the last story, if this is your second or third video of mine and you're really enjoying them, but you haven't subscribed yet, just would like to remind you to subscribe. It really helps me out. And if this is your first video, you're really enjoying it and you want more videos like this, I have over 140 reading Reddit videos up on my channel. So after this video is done, feel free to head on over there and check those out. I also would like to take this time to present my channel memberships if you guys want to support me and get a couple of extra perks. The first tier is only $2 a month. You get access to all my emojis, all my members only streams, and you get access to some old videos that I've privated, but I'm going to start allowing only members to be able to see these videos. So this is a vlog that I uploaded 8 years ago. You can see cringy old Sarby if you're really interested in it, but only members have access to the videos. Only the members can see how cringe I used to be. On top of that, I have a $6 a month tier, which gives you early access to my videos. So as soon as they're uploaded and ready to go, I make them live for my members only, as well as any exclusive long form videos that I choose to make for members only. And then I kind of have this bigger $25 month tier that is honestly excessive. There's nothing super extra other than you get a signed photo from me and Beans. So if you're interested in signing up for any of these memberships, all you got to do is click the join button right next to the subscribe button, pick which tier you want and hit join. I want to specify as well, the memberships are not required by any means, but they are greatly appreciated. Thank you guys. Back to the video. My husband Charlie and I have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've had our ups and downs, but are currently in an up. He has never done anything like this in the past, so it came out of left field for me, and I'm very much shocked and at a loss here. Charlie is a computer programmer and was a senior engineer at his former company, where he had worked for 4 years. He'd never had any trouble with coworkers and were both friendly with a few of them, mostly other men and their wives. On Friday of last week, he came home around 11 a.m. and told me he'd been fired. He was really upset and agitated, and I didn't want to push him about it, but he told me that they said he was harassing a coworker and was fired. The information I've been able to get out of him. 1, the coworker is Beth, a junior engineer who he's never mentioned to me before. He said she's terrible at her job. I mean, I was already guessing that it would be a woman, but we know exactly where this is going, chat. 2, Beth slept with a senior engineer we are both friendly with, Darren. Darren wasn't involved in the harassment, wasn't fired, etc. 3, the company's lawyers were there, and among the things they told him was that Beth could have pressed charges but chose not to. Beans red flag in chat, guys, because we know exactly what that means. 4, something happened with her car, but he won't say what. His exact words were, there was something with her car. 5, he was escorted off the premises and is not allowed back in the building to get his belongings and instead has to arrange with security to pick them up after business hours. This is a shit show of information, but it's not looking good. For all this to happen, bro must have severely fucked up. As far as anything else goes, he won't give me any details. He isn't interested in seeing a lawyer because he says everything is legal. He has basically admitted to sending Beth some emails, but won't say what they said or anything like that. I don't know if Beth sleeping with Darren had anything to do with it, but the fact that he gave me that detail makes me think it does. I'm not sure how it relates. Darren is a very nice single man who is in his late 20s and approximately the same age as Beth. My prediction was he was like slut shaming her, or OP's husband was telling Beth that she should be with him. My mind is running wild here. Charlie has been depressed and withdrawn all weekend, won't talk to me about it, and won't talk much in general. I work remotely, so I was home all day with him and he played video games all day and then went to bed at 6 p.m. The fact that he won't tell me anything and isn't interested in seeing a lawyer makes me think that it's bad and makes me worry that everything is true and not just a misunderstanding or a small thing blown out of proportion. He has never been flirtatious with other women or cruel to them, and he's never said anything bad about other women engineers he works with. I don't know what to do here. My instinct is to be supportive of my husband, but I don't know what kind of behavior I'd be supporting. I don't want to run to his coworkers we know and ask them, since they're more our friends than my friends, and while we spend time together at get-togethers or bars, I'm not close with them. In an immediate sense, I don't know what to do about helping someone who is so depressed and won't talk to me. As someone's partner, there is a level of like baseline supportiveness that you should uphold. But girl, when there's some sketchy shit going on, you do not want to blindly support this man. It sounds like this is extremely sketchy, and odds are he not only fucked up, but probably did something that goes against your guys' marriage. I know they're not your friends or like whatever else you want to argue, but like high key, I think you need to figure out what he did and go from there. There's nothing you can do until you know what he did. And if he's not telling you, I think it is on you to go out and seek what that answer is. Whether you go to Beth, whether you go to Darren, whether you go to the company, whether you go to a friend of a friend who works there. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but you definitely should find out. Ignorance is not bliss here. Update April 3rd, 2018, the next day. I got up at 5:30 a.m. to go to the gym before work, and my husband was still awake playing video games. I presented him with the very good idea someone suggested of him sending me an email with the details, but that it wasn't acceptable to shut me out of this situation since it affects me too. His response was basically, the paperwork is in my car, go get it if you want to read it. I asked him to go get it so we could look at it together, and he said, you're going to believe what you want anyway. All of this is unusual for our marriage because I'm a pretty patient person, I think. We went out to the car together, and he got in his car, handed me the papers, and left. For about 2 hours, I was panicked because I didn't know where he went. If he was okay, if he was thinking of hurting himself, but his mother texted me at 9 saying he was over there, asking me what happened, if everything was okay, etc. His parents live about 15 minutes away, and I guess he told her he's going to be staying there. So the paperwork. According to the paperwork, he sent her multiple harassing emails from anonymous email accounts. The emails are printed out and attached. He apparently did this while at work, and they have been monitoring his user account for 3 months. The emails aren't sexual or romantic in nature and are all anonymous and about how she sucks at her job, wouldn't be there if she wasn't a woman, how she should quit before she gets fired, and how everyone in the office hates her. He made fake user accounts for his company's product that she works on and submitted bad reviews of her work. He also did this while logged in at work. Bro, what a fucking dumbass. I'm not condoning anything that he did, obviously, but are we really that stupid? Like, bro committed the crime with the weapon that had his name on it and then left it at the scene with a neon sign. He sent an anonymous email to her boss saying that she was sleeping with a senior engineer on another project. He put a gun catalog on the windshield of her car. I don't know what this gesture means, but I obviously understand that it was meant to be threatening. Unfortunately, inside was a subscription card that the company autofilled with his name and address. Holy fucking shit, is this man insane? Bro self-reported so hard. Hey man, if you're gonna be an actually fucking evil person, be smart about it. Like, he's not evil and smart. He's evil and stupid. She also says she has been harassed for the same length of time, about 3 months, on Twitter. He only logged into one Twitter account that harassed her at work, so they can only say one was him, all telling her to quit her job. So I don't know what to do now. All this is terrifying me, and I feel so bad for this woman. I have no idea what this is all about. He works with other women engineers, and he has worked with male engineers who don't pull their weight, and he's never done anything like this. I would have bet $1 million that he'd never do anything like this. He's at his parents' right now, and I don't know what my next move here could possibly be. This is so scary and out of left field to me. I think OP should 95% be leaning to, oh shit, I should probably leave this guy if these are his true colors. But I'm wondering if she does somewhat owe him, like, okay, I read the documents. Like, what do you have to say for yourself? That's, I think, what I'd want to do. Although, I guess OP did give him the opportunity, because OP was like, explain yourself. And he chose to just hand off the paperwork and not be there while they sifted through it. So yeah, I don't actually think she owes him anything. OOP added in the comments, I forgot to mention his paperwork is copied from the original and was signed by both him and his company. I don't know if that's a full admission, but it seems damning either way. If he signed it and he's not trying to fight it, yeah, he fucking did that shit. If I were in her shoes, I would probably want an explanation. I feel like she's given him the proper opportunity to explain himself and he chose not to. So like, OP doesn't owe him anything, but by God, would I be sitting there like, I need to see, I need to know, I need to understand why he would do something like that.